I played Star Wars The Old Republic to see if it was worth playing in 2026, and after hundreds of hours, several lore-induced aneurysms, and reinstalling the game for the 8th time because nostalgia gaslit me again, here is what I found out. Star Wars The Old Republic is a modern, polished, and deeply respected MMO. The combat is fluid, the classes are balanced, and the game has practically no jank. One thing that's unique about SWTOR is that the game has always been in well-trusted hands. This game has always had one of the most secure futures in MMO history. You just got pranked. Do you have terminal main character syndrome? Maybe narcissistic personality disorder? Are you a regular at 4chan and R34? Is your copium so industrial grade that you're fine with a game that requires a /suck command that doesn't even fucking work? Do you want to play a game where you can commit war crimes, seduce half the galaxy, support slavery, and still be regarded as the greatest person who ever lived? Well, Star Wars The Old Republic is the game for you. We've got tab targeting so classic, it still thinks 2012 is the future. Unironically, some of the best campaigns in MMO history. Companions that love you, hate you, betray you, and sometimes outright disappear for like 5 fucking expansions. We have premium currencies, microtransactions, an endgame that exists, allegedly, and black screen lovemaking. Lots and lots of black screen lovemaking. And you like it, you little creep. Don't even try to lie to me. I know about the Twi'lek videos you watch. The game's great. There's a reason people still play after 15 years. And there's a reason that everyone makes a video with this stupid ass title every single year. I don't want to see a single comment about me using this generic ass brain dead title. You goofy gooses are the ones that keep clicking this shit. It's on you. Now lube the fuck up. We've got a lot to talk about. The devs made some seriously game-changing announcements recently. Star Wars The Old Republic came out in the ye old yonder days 2011, the time of dubstep, rage comics, and YouTube titles that just said epic. And on release, the game did not have a great time. When a game completely fumbles its first impression, it tends to get locked into that reputation forever, no matter how much it improves over time. And this rep was earned. SWTOR was advertised as a deep story-driven BioWare-style RPG, but as an MMO with fully voiced missions and impactful choices. And they delivered. They delivered so hard, and the game had so much jank on launch that even the bugs were voice acted. It's been 15 years though. Is it any better? I mean, sure, we still gotta work around campaign-breaking bugs that have gone unfixed for 4 years, but that's part of the charm, right? For most of its life, SWTOR was developed by BioWare and published by the Sith Lords at EA. Yes, I made that same joke last year. No, the recycled content will not stop. The game has since been handed over to Broadsword, a studio best known for keeping games alive long after the funeral, the wake, and the inheritance disputes. These are the people who specialize in life support, maintenance mode, and quietly refusing to let games die out of pure spite. Needless to say, that was a time when the future of SWTOR looked very uncertain. But it's been a couple of years now since the Broadsword move. How was SWTOR doing under new management? Well, pretty good. Like, suspiciously good, actually. The game's future now looks brighter than it has in a long time, possibly brighter than at any point in its entire history, especially with some of the new stuff coming to the game, but more on that later. First, I have a question for you. Would you subscribe if I promise to show my balls on stream? What is the singular thing that has kept SWTOR going for over a decade and a half, whatever? Was it the endgame? Nope, it was actually the PvP. Was it class balance? Be serious, man. Was it the engine? Don't make me laugh. No! The thing that kept this game alive while everything else was on fucking fire was the story. And not in the MMO story is a pretty good story for an MMO story kind of way. I mean, SWTOR genuinely has good RPG writing, the kind that makes you forget you're playing a 15-year-old MMO held together by 35-plus-year-old nerd sweat and some duct tape. This game, even though it's Star Wars Legends, which is no longer canon, does George Lucas's Star Wars so much more justice than anything Disney has ever made. From properly understanding how the Force works, usually, to understanding the rich lore and history and utilizing it in the game. Incredibly well-written characters, immersive roleplay as Sith or Jedi, with meaningful choices that impact the story now and or 10 years down the line in like 5 expansions. A choice you've made like 5 years ago can have a ripple effect 5 years from now. Choices that could change your character's appearance as they get more corrupted by the dark side, or an important character is missing from your expansion storyline because you got mad and decided to kill him like 6 years ago. You don't even remember why. So now you just gotta make do without him. The class campaigns are, you've heard this a million times, but they are big peak. And if you're one of those people that only play Force classes and doesn't want to try any of the other ones, shut up, play Imperial Agent, just do it. Playing this class quest will do things to you. It'll change you, make you feel things that you didn't know you like. This class quest line will make you discover things about yourself that you just play it. Just play the damn quest. Imperial Agent, best campaign in the goddamn game, not even a joke. And what was I talking about? The story. Even after the change over to broadsword, the story updates still keep coming and they still end up being bangers. And the potential for story in the future is huge here. This game is Star Wars Legends, where the lore gets pretty creative. No, SWTOR is part of the expanded universe, and even though it's not canon anymore, it's not as crazy as Legends was. Well, my neck-bearded friend, to that I say, the Force Unleashed games were also formerly canon expanded universe content, and those games were more anime than Star Wars Visions. SWTOR has already fallen off the rails with the lore multiple times, many times. I can't see why they can't explore some wild concepts like the pyramid things from Legend. What pyramids? What pyramids? My fellow nerds better lube up, cause Bebop Senpai is about to drop some rare Star Wars lore on you. A gazillion years ago before the Jedi, these really old pyramid spaceship things built by fuck knows who, fuck knows when, suddenly activated. Some say they're older than the Star Wars galaxy itself, and let's not even try to think about how the fuck that could be. Anyways, the pyramids start going wah 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 and drawing people who were force sensitive to them. Only they didn't know that they were force sensitive because that wasn't a known thing at the time. Once they showed up to the pyramids, they discovered that they held knowledge of how to use the force within them. And that's how the first force users came to be. That's just one of the wild things in Legends that they could explore in the lore here. And don't even try to say that's too fucking crazy, too mythological. The Emperor already became an immortal force-linked phylactery god unholy trinity thing in the game. That's already in the game. Wild shit from Legends is nowhere near outside the realm of possibility. Or maybe if you want something more tame, like for example, out of all the planets in SWTOR, why the fuck is Dathomir not in the goddamn game? It's one of the coolest planets ever. Imagine, Dathomir expansion. New planet, new quest, Night Sister playable class. One of the pyramid spaceships was actually on Dathomir, so that could tie in. Does it fit into the timeline properly? Absolutely fucking not. But I don't care, and neither do the devs. Or what about like a Mortis expansion where you can fight the fucking sun in a 40-man raid? It doesn't matter. Point is, the lore potential here is wild for things we could have in the game. We didn't even touch on all the acid fentanyl shit in the lore, like hyperspace demons, other space, and the Anti-Force or Abeloth. Anyways, about those game-changing announcements, SWTOR has had problems with performance, even on monster systems, and the potential for developing the game is very limited, or at least it was until now. SWTOR runs on DirectX 9, which basically means that the game can't use your PC specs anywhere near their full potential. But the game will be moving to DirectX 12 now, which means devs won't have to worry about performance like it's 2010. In practice, this has the potential for better graphics, more modernized combats like what happened to WoW, better zones, better boss fights, maybe even faster gameplay. Now, it's not like it's guaranteed that all or any of these things I just mentioned will actually happen. I'm just listing the potential improvements that could be made to the game after moving over to DX12. And with the whispers of a new expansion on the way, who knows? We might be in for something big and juicy. This is why I said this game's future finally seems bright for once. But what of the game in its current state? Well, we can start with what's probably the most important aspect of any game like this, the combat. It's alright, though I'm not the biggest fan. It's fun, it's Star Warsy, but it's also slow and pretty brain dead. You mostly just push the same buttons all the time with little to no decision making. And after fighting for a while, I just like to stealth past everything with classes that can stealth and skip as much combat as I can with classes that can't. Both class and enemy mechanics are not interesting enough, and combat isn't satisfying enough for you to enjoy long grinds or even going through enemies in the campaign. I know a lot of you are salty about what I just said about the combat, but that's what I think, and I'm definitely not alone in this opinion about the game's combat. And don't even get me started on the boss fights. Insanely easy don't stand in the red circle mechanics. Tank gets knocked back, tank gets frozen, tank gets pulled by boss. These are the boss mechanics. Of what boss? All of them! Okay, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it is true that boss mechanics are incredibly repetitive across many bosses, and the visual designs are forgettable too. It's rare that you fight like a cool looking Jedi Master or an imposing Sith Lord. Usually you're fighting forgettable giant alien, forgettable giant robot, or forgettable self-righteous soldier that talks shit. All of these things are going to be much more improvable after the DX12 update though, which is great because all of us love this game despite its trash combat. For the first time ever, we have a new hope. See what I did there? The Sith Lords at EA have been dealt with, and now there is actual potential for these core features of the game to be updated. Force knows the game needs it. One of the more interesting fights in the game is in this one dungeon where you fight the giant robot lion from Power Rangers, and he does this thing where he spins around and shoots lasers all over the place, and all you gotta do is hide behind a droid for like 30 seconds and just stand there. People who are SWTOR braid, who only play this game, who think the combat is good, start cheering and clapping at this mechanic, thinking it's peak gameplay. Broadsword, please, we need to help these poor fucks. The game has a lot more good about it than bad though. Like I said, I love this game. Like the UI editor, SWTOR doesn't need add-ons for this, and thank George for that. that. The vanilla UI looks like it was made for a monitor that doesn't exist anymore. The UI editor is in-depth, easy to use, and you can get everything looking nice and crisp, nice and smooth. Very, very customizable. Monetization is fair, mostly. The game is free to play, but with a lot of limitations. And if you get a sub, you unlock the full game. Okay, so pretty standard. Here's the thing though. Apart from free to play and sub player, there's a third tier known as preferred player. A preferred player is someone who had been subbed at some point, but no longer is. So you're free to play, you get a sub, you cancel, and now you're a preferred player, meaning you keep most of your sub benefits. A preferred player keeps the action bars of a sub player because free to play has less action bars. You have access to all the expansions that were out when you last subbed, but if new content comes out, you need to sub again to get access to it. And you get a bunch of other shit. What you can't do is equip endgame gear, some of the strongest stuff in the game. You can't equip it as a preferred player, you need to sub again. And you have a very small credit cap, so basically meaning you're broke all the time. While subbing every once in a while is okay for most players who just want the story content and just enjoy the game as an RPG, if you want to play this game a bit more seriously or as your main game, as your main MMO, you're probably gonna want to stay sub. Other monetization methods include, surprising absolutely fucking no one, a cosmetic cash shop, and loot boxes. The cash shop items are sellable on the auction house, meaning you can buy credits with real money, leaving the economy in a state of constant volatility, and the player base almost as financially fucked as Gen Z. In the endgame, well, SWTOR does have an endgame, technically, legally, on paper. The endgame of SWTOR consists of a few kinds of filler endgame, and then there's a real endgame. Filler endgame consists firstly of flashpoints, which is what dungeons are called in this game. There are 3 difficulty levels, the first 2 of which are soloable. Story mode flashpoints, as you may guess, were primarily designed to be soloable, offering easier enemies and bosses, and a combat assist droid that is a tank, healer, and DPS all at once, and does everything for you basically. The community often refers to our metallic friend as the Jesus robot, and that's on top of the companion that you usually get following you around. Okay, story mode is a face roll, that's to be expected, but here's the thing, if you do the normal mode dungeons, you don't get the Jesus robot, but you can go in solo with just your normal companion, set them to healer, and it's still a face roll. Sure, the bosses have more health and it takes longer to kill them, but you're just hitting shit longer, you're not losing health, you're not dying, you're not thinking about dodging mechanics or anything like that. So the hard mode ones are the only ones that actually incentivize you to group up. The Flashpoint group finder used to require 2 DPS, 1 tank, 1 healer, right 4-man groups. A few years ago though, that was changed so that anyone can join in, and you're usually jumping in with 4 DPS players. Bosses now have healing stations in the boss room, because of course they fucking do. Why wouldn't the boss have a way for his enemies to heal themselves exactly where the encounter happened? These healing stations are things that you can just run up to and click to heal yourself, meant to make up for missing healers because everybody in the group is a DPS. I've played this game on and off for a long time, and I don't remember wiping in a flashpoint once. Wait, no, I actually do remember wiping a couple times, and all of those were because of bugs. No big deal though, like I said, this isn't the actual endgame, just filler endgame. Other filler endgame includes operations, SWTOR's version of raiding. More people, better bosses, actual risk of wipe, far better PvE content than flashpoints, but still has that problem of repetitive mechanics, though fights are a fair bit more interesting than in the regular dungeon. And then there's PvP. And then there's Galactic Starfighter, a PvP space dogfighting mode that I couldn't get my own footage of for this video because nobody plays it. I was in the queue for over a fucking hour. Galactic Starfighter, if you can get in, is not bad. It has decent combat. I like how up and down is relative because you're in space, you're realistic. Pretty cool. But that was all just filler endgame. It's time for the real endgame. The good shit. The only real reason people play this game. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about drip. Farming drip, baby, let's go. This game has no shortage of cosmetics, mounts, and slot mogs to collect. You'll be getting gear, weapons, collecting currencies, and pretty much the only reason to craft in this game in order to get sick drip. Combine gear from different sets, from seasonal limited time gear, overpriced shit from the auction house, and a random pair of boots that dropped when you were leveling to match the perfect drip with the most fitting mount. Or if you're like me, you want the stuff from the cash shop, but your cheap ass doesn't want to spend a penny. So you find exploit to collect a fuckload of cartel coins, the premium currency, without spending a dime. Yes, that's the thing. This game has game-breaking bugs that haven't been fixed in over a decade, but when exploits like this that cost them money are discovered, such as the one I did a video on a couple of years back, you bet your booty they fix that shit immediately. You can break your entire server's economy trying to get your hands on a sick belt, but it's 100% worth it. Check out some of these mounts you can collect. Look at the unparalleled swag of this motorcycle. No, I did not spend a single penny. I know it's purchase from the cash shop. I'm a fucking Balkan gypsy, I don't spend. The game lets you match the color of all your gear to the color of your chest plate, and you can change the color of your chest plate to whatever you want. Some of these colors are pretty rare, and it gives you something extra to collect, and you don't have to worry about cool gear color mismatching like in some other games where they don't let you color your gear. But is a wheels drip and character drip the only proper endgame in SWTOR?
Fuck no, baby!
There's also house drip. Collect shit from achievements. Exploit the game's jank for even more free premium currency to get ancient Sith artifacts to display on your shelf. A dead guy in lava, foreshadowing. A statue of an ancient Sith lord. Ancient technology from a super advanced race. A cave, a parking lot, human trafficking, and so much more. You can get yourself vendors, a mailbox, an auction house. All your companions are here. At this point, you never have to leave your house, in real life or in the game. Fuck getting gear to increase stats and raise some arbitrary numbers. Flex your superiority to lesser players with the drip and mount you have. Invite people to your place just to prove that they are less than you. Sure, your DPS is trash because you're DPSing as a tank spec, but the tank abilities look cooler. And in the end, that's all you really care about. My only beef with this is since the game has microtransaction items, most of the non-cash shop items look pretty shit by comparison. You do a long epic quest to get the lightsaber of amazing awesomeness that was a whole thing in one of the expansions, or you get a powerful drop from an operation on the hardest difficulty, and it still looks like a made-in-China Walmart toy. You're changing the appearance of that shit immediately. In case anyone hasn't played since the Broadsword takeover, I want to clear something up. The game isn't doing any worse than it did when EA was in charge. Matter of fact, content droughts have not been a problem like they were back then. The devs seem to have more freedom to attempt better improvements and do bolder shit to the game than they did under the Sith Empire, such as the aforementioned DirectX 12 update. Obviously, Broadsword isn't as rich as EA. They don't got that FIFA gambling money, but it still seems to be going in a good direction. Now we need to talk about alts. Most MMOs tolerate alts. SWTOR actively encourages you to ruin your life by playing 8-class story, and it does this through something called the Legacy System. The Legacy System is a count-wide progression. Anything important you unlock on one character slowly starts benefiting every character you will ever make. Every class gets you a small buff on all of your characters when you beat their story. Beating all of them will get you all the buffs. And legendary player status, which is pretty much just a yellow border around your character's portrait that everyone can see, is something that you get after you've completed all the class storyline. I'm actually surprised that this is kind of rare to see. I'm even more surprised that I don't have it. There's a family tree where you can like figure out how your characters are friends or related. If you want to do that, you could. The legacy system primarily functions around legacy points, which is a separate XP bar for your legacy. It's account-wide. Anything you do from quests, dungeon, PvP, killing shit, again shared between characters. Leveling your legacy gives you cool unlocks like rocket boots, which are like mounts that can be used anywhere if you can't mount somewhere, a training dummy for your ship, and loads of other shit. You can also use it to unlock playable races for factions that they are usually not available for, like playing as a regular Zabrak on Empire, or you know, the Knight Brothers Zabrak dudes on Republic, which you usually can't because they're faction exclusive. Among the combat styles, a combat style is basically your class, all the tech combat styles are available for all factions. But as you may have guessed, that is not true for the Force class, at least not at first. At first, obviously, you can only use the light side set classes as Jedi, you can only use the dark side stuff as Sith, right? Standard, okay? But you see, SWTOR has a point system that tells you how far immersed you are in the dark or light side based on your choices. Progressing further and further into the dark side will change how you look over time, and progressing further and further into the light side will get you called a real good boy by your friends. NPCs and will react in dialogue and stuff like that. So if you max out dark side, for example, you unlock all the dark side classes for Republic, so you can play as like a Sith sorcerer Jedi, because why not? Max out light side and you can play a Jedi Guardian on Sith, why the fuck not? And then there's datacrons, which are also technically part of your legacy. Little cubes you get meant to incentivize exploration, as they are hidden throughout the world. You gotta do like weird parkour, sometimes find secret items. There's loads of ways to unlock and to find the different ones. Each datacron found gives all your characters a small stat buff. Buffs that actually affect gameplay. Pretty cool, okay. Slight DPS increase or whatever. This game has a lot of cool shit like that. So, is Star Wars The Old Republic worth playing in 2026? The honest answer is yes, but only if you know exactly what you're getting into. SWTOR isn't a more serious MMO like Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft are. It's not mechanically deep. Its combat isn't exactly pushing any boundaries. Its endgame won't have you no-lifing raid tiers for months on end. That's okay, because that was never the point. SWTOR survived and continues to survive because it does something that almost no other MMO has ever committed to this hard. It is a full RPG first and an MMO second. The story content, especially the class stories and major expansions, still hold up shockingly well. The writing is is confident, the voice acting is consistently strong, your choices actually matter in ways that extend far beyond a single quest reward. That alone makes SWTOR worth experiencing, even if you never touch high-end endgame content. And thanks to the legacy system, alt-friendliness, and the way the game encourages you to explore multiple perspectives, this adds loads of replayability because you're incentivized to play so many classes. You don't need to min-max, you don't need add-ons just to function, you don't need encyclopedic knowledge of systems layered on top of systems. You can just play. That said, the game absolutely shows its age, performance issues still exist, combat can feel shallow and repetitive, boss design often lacks creativity, and yes, there are bugs that should have been fixed years ago, but for the first time in a long while, there's a legitimate reason to believe the game is moving in a better direction. The transition to DX12 opens doors that were previously closed. Broadsword Stewardship has been cautious but consistent. The promise of continued story content, technical modernization, and long-term support gives SWTOR something it's lacked for years. Confidence in its future. No hype, no market buzz, actual quiet confidence. If you're looking for a hardcore MMO to main for the next 5 years though, SWTOR probably isn't for you. There's probably something better for you out there. If you're looking for a mechanically demanding endgame game with constant balance shifts and competitive pressure, there's better options. But if you want genuinely good Star Wars story, strong RPG roleplay, meaningful choices, fully voiced campaigns, and an MMO you can enjoy at your own pace, SWTOR is still one of the best options available. Especially if you love Star Wars. SWTOR doesn't try to reinvent itself anymore, and honestly, that might be its greatest strength. It knows what it is, it leans into it, and it lets you decide how deep you want to go. So yeah, Star Wars: The Old Republic is worth playing in 2026, not because it's perfect, not because it's modern, but because even after all these years, there's still nothing else quite like it, and that alone makes it worth your time. But if you're a fast-paced hardcore gamer, you may want to give Path of Exile a shot. Here's a video talking everything about it. Check it out, like, subscribe, now watch that fucking video.